Hello, everyone. My name's Louie Liu, and I'm here with the eJournal team here in Boston, Massachusetts for the US Go Congress. I'm joined here by Liao Guiyong, who is a professional from China, and Matthew Harwit, who will be here helping in translation. We're here spending about 15-20 minutes per game just to review and help, and we're here to just help share the pros' thoughts about the game. So I hope you guys enjoy. 我们开始好。现在有什么话要说吗？
下到这里都是非常普通、
Okay.
非常流行的下法。
So he says up to this point, everything is pretty normal and nothing really out of the ordinary so far.
这个挂角，要是我下的话，我会挂在里边。
So he says here that this
就把棋盘
approach,
打散。
this approach to the corner, he would rather play on the outside here,
哎，
and then 白棋走这儿。
对对对，再
黑
飞，
就飞吧，
再飞进去飞角，再拆二。
So he says he would rather prefer this style. 你什么原因？
因为这棋已经是比较打得比较开放的局面，就比较细的一块一块一小块的棋。你要是这边白棋已经跳起来了，那边要做一个形式的话也不好做，干脆就把它打散了。
So he says that the board is like pretty open and there are a lot of small groups that are split up. And he says that the formation on the right side is, since white has jumped out, it's already pretty high and has a lot of influence. So if black plays on the other side and white is able to create some strong influence in walls, it's a better game for white than for black. So that's why he'd rather play this variation.
这个很有新意。
So he's,
正常的话就兼一个，觉得是比较普通的。
so he says this is a very interesting sort of fighting spirit move, but this is more the standard move, and then just have black play something like this.
然后在这边拆个边之类的，飞一下。
这边。
对。
And then he says like this sort of variation is more standard and more normal. So he thinks that white's move is definitely more interesting in a fighting sort of style. So by the way, you guys are feel free to ask any questions of the pro, and he'll answer any of the questions that you have.
黑棋这个最后那个长想搬头，搬那个三字头。
Okay. So he says instead of this peep, he'd rather have black just turn here and cover the head because he thinks this is just a stronger
第一
move.
个就长的那个就想搬。
Oh, he says even before
这
this,
个好像紧一点。
he would rather just haunt it here. He's thinking maybe black is sort of scared,
那
but
白棋怎么下呢？现在
而
but
且这个就跳一个吧。
and then even if black jumps,
这飞一个，然后再把它夹住，这里再加一个。
so he thinks
紧凑一点嘛。
this puts a lot more pressure on white as a player, and he doesn't really get why black would just pull back instead when he can play such a more aggressive variation.
白棋这个拆稍微过了一点，离的那边厚的地方过了一点。
Okay, so he thinks this
还是回来
is
一
a
点
little far for an extension.
回来一路比较矮。
So he'd rather play this
比较简
because
单。
the other move is a little far from the thickness and is more susceptible to weaknesses from has more weaknesses that are susceptible to be attacked.
这个白棋可能有点苦啊，这样。
So black just feels like painful here, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, it's
or
not that good
white.
for white.
Yeah,
It's not
white.
good for white.
White feels a little bad playing this kind of variation.
这个棋不能接上吗？白棋？
我也是接受。
He's wondering if white can just connect here.
黑棋打一个头，摊上。因为这个地方有个争子，那么黑棋只能爬底下。
Right. So he's saying that since black has weaknesses, black can only just crawl on the second line.
白棋在打这个。
And then
这个
white
作
can
战
just hit this.
黑棋假如跑的话，白棋长一个，这个黑棋感觉黑棋危险，黑棋得拐出
Yeah.
来。
So he says this variation here just feels very dangerous for black, and just on a brief glance, it seems that black just feels a little weak here, and just overall a dangerous situation for him, and just not a position that black would want to be in anyways.
这个要是白棋能接上的话，那黑棋就比较难办。
Yes.
现在这个情况就比较难。
So he says if white can connect his
黑
groups.
棋现在拐这个的话，它拐下去这边封不住。
像这样
封不住吧这个。白我可以打这个。
打这个。
哦，这个也很复杂。
He says it's very complicated
这个他一
variation.
打不敢接。
So he thinks this is a very complicated variation. But maybe white could have played like this.
我觉得这个黑棋这个搬的话，冲一个比较简单。这个搬。
哪个搬？
就再退几手。再退3，再退2手。对，这个时候冲
这个。
中段，往上。
这样。
Okay.
这个比较简单。
So he thinks this is a simpler variation for black to play, and maybe this would just lead to less complications and just be an easier game for both players.
刚才这个是非常复杂，也。
But he thinks it's complicated. This
实战能提起来一个也总是黑棋好。
Yeah,
okay.
no matter what variation, it's probably black is doing pretty well at this
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
白棋那个碰时机好像也不大好，还是先挡住封住这个头吧。
So he says this sort of like bump is bad timing. It's not great. He'd rather just try to seal black in, because even if black just connects under, like it's still not
那
a.
边黑棋已经很厚了，它这个碰被黑棋跳出来或者怎么出来了以后，白棋比较。 这一块都比较薄。
So he says that black is very thick in the corner. So if black's allowed to get out, it puts a lot of pressure on the other white groups, like on the C17 side as well as the H17 group. And having so much pressure on these groups could be alleviated if you just seal black in directly.
黑棋那个就不用冲，第二个就不用冲下去了，直接跳出来就可以了。
那这个。
这个渡过也不用渡过，不，再退回来上手。这个就不用走了，这个跳。
Okay, so he says at this point there's no need for black to connect under. He can just jump out directly, because it's not like white will just connect here.
其实这两个都不用走，直接跳出来那个。
Yeah. Or even before this exchange, black can still just jump.
白棋分开。
So black can just jump up directly here, and this is still better than just playing all the stuff in the N18 area.
白棋这个应该先拐掉，早拐掉。那个是之前。
之前拐。
拐掉。
So he says instead of playing D12, you'd rather first exchange this before coming back
黑棋
over.
都走到2路上面去了，他不如开始就往前跳。
So he says black has put a lot of moves on the second line, and instead he would rather have jumped out and applied pressure onto white's groups. So this sort of play is not very strong of black.
这个时候来不及了，还是不要拐了。这个时候就干脆自己先连出来。
So he says white has no time to play this sort of turn. He'd rather white just jump out instead, and this sort of thing is just sort of too small and bad timing.
So
he thinks at this point in the game, black black is better and has a much easier game than white does. As you can probably see, just a lot of white's groups are being pressured. He has 2 split weak groups, and overall it's just not a great time for white. That appears to be a transcriber error, so we'll keep going on.
这场比较乱，但是那边也是活的，感觉是黑棋得力了，这边也吃通了，中间。
So he thinks like this is sort of just a weird, crazy fighting variation. There's not much to say here, but
Black definitely is ahead at this
yeah, black is definitely leading at this point, and it feels like a much better game for black. So 还有一些话要说吗？
没有。
So basically,
先看看别的棋吧。
so he says like overall this game just feels like very good for black, and he'd rather just move on to the next game. So if there are no other questions, we'll be moving on to the next game. So please join us there if there are no other questions.